Welcome to my JavaScript tutorial series. This is a basic JavaScript tutorial. This tutorial has been designed for the absolute beginners. For your convenience, I have broken down this tutorial into a number of lessons. If you really want to learn JavaScript from this tutorial, please keep watching all the JavaScript lessons according to the lesson number. This is lesson number 1. I call it Introduction to JavaScript. This tutorial doesn't require any prior programming knowledge or experience. However, it is required that you would be familiar with the basic HTML. If you are not familiar with basic HTML, you may watch our HTML tutorial, How to Design a Web Page Using HTML. So without any further ado, let's look at the list of the topics that we are going to cover in this tutorial. 1. What is JavaScript? 2. Why to learn JavaScript? 3. How to add JavaScript to HTML page. 4. JavaScript version and standard. Let's start with the first question first. What is JavaScript? The simplest answer is, it is a programming language, also called JS. It was initially developed to create interactive web page, but with the passage of time, you can do a lot more things with JavaScript now, like creating web application, mobile application, and even desktop application. An interactive web page is the kind of web page with the capability that permits a user to communicate with the page. Like if you click on an interactive web page, the page may respond to you saying, "Have you just clicked me?" Or it might say, "What's up, dude?" when you click an image on the page. These are just two simple examples of user interactions. You can do a lot more. With user interaction capability, you can turn a web page into a web application. JavaScript was developed by Netscape Corporation, a company much known for creating internet browsers. The language was initially developed as a scripting language to be executed and run on the browser to display interactive contents. A scripting language is very much simple, lightweight, and interpreted language that doesn't require to be compiled using a compiler to be an executable program. Because the scripting language is very much lightweight, it can easily be executed and run in the client side, which could be an internet browser or other kind of handheld devices. JavaScript was then known as client-side scripting language. A scripting language also can be executed and run on a server. If a scripting language runs on a server, we call it server-side scripting language. PHP, Perl, Python are examples of server-side scripting language. Why to learn JavaScript? Good question. I guess you know the answer. The basic reason is you need to learn JavaScript to create interactive web pages that you cannot do with HTML and CSS alone. JavaScript is considered as one of the core web technology alongside with HTML and CSS. As mentioned before, there are many more good reasons now to learn JavaScript. Though JavaScript was originally created as a scripting language to run in the client side, currently with Node.js and Deno runtime environments, JavaScript can be executed in server. If a script can run in a server, we call it server-side scripting. So in that definition, now JavaScript is also a server-side scripting language. Let's look at some of the important reasons that should encourage you to learn JavaScript. Compared to many other programming languages, JavaScript is easy to learn because it abstracts away most of the complex details of the machine, so you can focus on learning how to program. Moreover, JavaScript doesn't require any specific IDE or development environment. You can just start coding with any simple text editor like Notepad, Notepad++, or VS Code and run your code in a browser. Once you are familiar with JavaScript, you can easily use your JavaScript skill in other programming environments such as Ajax, AngularJS, React, Node.js, Ember.js, and so on. Because all these technologies use JavaScript, and some of these frameworks are developed and used by big-timers like Google and Facebook. For instance, with JavaScript, you can develop mobile apps for both iOS and Android by using React Native. Create modern web interfaces with the help of React.js, Vue.js, or Angular. Create CLI or command line application solutions with the help of Node.js. Develop the back-end part of various web applications by using Node.js and Express. JavaScript developers are highly in demand and well paid. According to the most relevant information in the US market, JavaScript specialists can earn up to $125,000 per year. JavaScript experts are on the hunt by giant corporations like Amazon, Netflix, Walmart, PayPal, and many others. So, what are you waiting for? Bigger the community means wider the help support system. You can easily find almost any kind of technical solutions that you are looking for. Being in touch with the JavaScript community, you can always be updated with the new tools, technology, reference materials, and career opportunities. There are 3 different ways you can add JavaScript code in your HTML pages. 1. Using internal JavaScript. 2. Using external JavaScript. 3. Using inline JavaScript. If you write your JavaScript code directly in an HTML page using script container tag, we call it internal JavaScript. Let's look at an example of using internal JavaScript. In this example, I have written my first JavaScript code using script container tag. Script container tag is an HTML tag. An internet browser will automatically know that the code between the script tag is JavaScript code, because JavaScript is the default scripting language for HTML. So we do not need to specify the type attribute for our script tag anymore, like the way we used to do in olden days. JavaScript code can be written either in the head section or at the bottom of the body section. The old practice was to write the codes in the head section. However, writing the code towards the bottom of the body section tends to be more efficient. In external JavaScript, your JavaScript codes are organized in a separate file with .js extension instead of writing your JavaScript code in the HTML file. To apply your external JavaScript code into an HTML file, you have to use the src or source attribute with script tag. Let's say you have a JavaScript file called myjavascript.js. To include this file in an HTML file, you will use script tag like shown in this example. Let's look at the steps to create external JavaScript file. Number 1. Open a text editor. You can use any text editor like Notepad, Notepad++, or VS Code. Number 2. Write some JavaScript code. You can copy the code shown on the screen. Number 3. Save the file as any file name with .js extension. Number 4. Go to the HTML file. Number 5. In the header section or the head section of the HTML file, make a reference to the JavaScript file using source attribute with the script tag. Follow this example. Number 6. Save the HTML file and reload. Inline JavaScript is similar to internal JavaScript, except that there is no enclosing script tag. Inline JavaScript codes are generally a small piece of code associated with an event. JavaScript was introduced by Brandon H. in 1995. JavaScript conformed to ECMAScript language specification standard. ECMA is a standard organization, short form of European Computer Manufacturers Association. ECMAScript or ES is the standard specification for scripting language. JavaScript became ECMA standard in 1997 and called ES-1 1997. The current version of ECMAScript that JavaScript implements is called ES9 2018, and the official name for the language is ECMAScript, in short ES. Okay guys, that's all for today's lesson. In our next lesson, we will focus into getting started with JavaScript. So guys, if you don't want to miss the tutorial, please subscribe my channel and press the bell icon for automatic notification. If you have liked the tutorial, please give me a thumbs up. Your comments are very much appreciated. See you in my next tutorial. Until then, goodbye.